Daniel, how to be a good partner to someone suffering from depression. That's a tough one, man. It's very hard to live with someone who's suffering from depression. With helping without enabling and pushing without being too judgmental. Well, again, the devil's in the details. Is the person seeing a counselor? Because if they're depressed, then they need to talk to someone. Have they tried antidepressants? Because if they're depressed, they should try antidepressants. And they should be strongly encouraged to do so, and maybe that encouragement should even border on a demand, because depression is just, it's terrible. It's terrible for the person who's experiencing it, like unutterably terrible. And it's terrible for the person who is living with the person who has depression. And so it's incumbent on the person who has depression to do everything they possibly can in order to set it straight. And it's hard, but there's lots of potential treatments for depression that have some efficacy, and antidepressants really do work wonders on people. You could try 5-hydroxytryptamine too. You could look that up, 5-HTP. It's usually 3 times 100 milligrams. And you can, if you try that, sometimes you can find out if antidepressants will work for you without having to resort to the antidepressants themselves. You can also help the depressed person make a plan in the morning. That can be really useful, or maybe a plan the night before if they're just not in any shape to do it in the morning, to sit down and say, okay, well, you have to get through tomorrow. And that's another good piece of advice. And so in Rule 12, I talk about that. Sometimes in relationship to depression, Rule 12 is pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. And it's a bit of a meditation about what to do when your life is in absolute crisis. But one of the things you can do with someone who's depressed is narrow, and this is what I discuss in this chapter, is narrow their time frame. Maybe a depressed person can't think a week ahead, but maybe they can think about tomorrow. And you can sit down and say, okay, well, you have to get through tomorrow. And so how are we going to structure tomorrow so that it will be okay, and so that you'll be able to sleep reasonably soundly when you go to bed tomorrow night? And then tomorrow night we'll do the same thing. And helping someone come up with a daily plan can be, now they might object and squawk and complain about it, but you should be, I would say, relatively persistent about that. And you can say, look, let's just try it for a week. And if they say no, then you say, well, let's try it for one day. Christ, the person's got to be pretty unreasonable if they, let's plan for 10 minutes just for tomorrow and see if that's helpful. If the person objects, you can keep cutting the magnitude of what you're asking down until you finally get a bit of an agreement from them. But helping someone depressed plan can help a lot.